American League East, a spot the Toronto Blue Jays would like to be in at the end of this season. Aaron Sanchez makes his third start of the spring, hoping to win a job in the starting rotation. It's the Baltimore Orioles and Toronto Blue Jays, next from beautiful sunny Florida. March break has yet to get underway, but for many down here in Dunedin, Florida, it's time to head on into Florida Auto Exchange Stadium and check out the Toronto Blue Jays and the Baltimore Orioles. Hi, everybody. I'm Barry Davis here in Dunedin, and the big story from Blue Jays camp, other than the fact they've suffered some freak injuries, has been the battles for positions, and there are a number of them. If you look across the diamond, there are battles for first base, second base, and left field. Those are three of the big ones, and if you look at some of the names that are competing for those spots, you're looking at veterans, you're looking at rookies, you're looking at guys that are looking for one last shot to make it in the majors. And the Blue Jays still are no closer now to making decisions than they were at the beginning of camp. So these battles are going to continue to go on all season long. Well, it is Friday the 13th, but unfortunately for the Blue Jays, their bad luck happened this past Tuesday when yet another major player has been lost. For more on that, we send it now upstairs to Buck Martinez and Joe Siddle.
Well, Barry, you're right. They certainly got bad news when they lost Marcus Stroman for the season. And, Joe, when you look back to Stroman's first season last year, he made 20 starts. He is a big part of this team looking forward, but now they have to move with the thoughts of not having Stroman.
Well, this is terrible news for the Blue Jays, but there's not too many teams that are going to feel sorry for him. Injuries are rampant throughout the league, but there's some big shoes to fill here, and it's going to be up to some Blue Jays starters to fill those shoes. Marcus started 20 games. He talked about it, won 11 games last year. Averaged almost a strikeout an inning, less than a hit per inning. He is an outstanding dominant arm, arguably the best stuff in this Blue Jays rotation.
Yeah, losing Stroman certainly cuts down the number of pitchers competing for the rotation spot. But when you look at the top three in the rotation, they're pretty well set, and there's still some good arms competing for this rotation.
Well, there sure is. It's coming down to three arms: Daniel Norris, Marco Estrada, and Aaron Sanchez. And when you look at Norris, he's a youngster. He came through the Blue Jay system rather quickly. Should he be better served, perhaps starting in AAA Buffalo? If so, you've got Marco Estrada, the veteran. Did it both in Milwaukee last season. He's a swingman. He actually had better results out of the bullpen. And then, of course, Aaron Sanchez. I think the one thing that's certain here, I think Aaron Sanchez has cemented his place in this Blue Jays rotation due to the injury to Marcus Stroman.
Aaron Sanchez is scheduled to pitch 4 innings today, and he's going to break out a new pitch. He's going to use a slider. The Blue Jays are getting ready for the season. 20 more games left after this one down here in Florida. Blue Jays and Orioles next. Welcome back to Florida Auto Exchange Stadium. It's a gorgeous day down here in Dunedin, Florida. 26 degrees at the start of play. And those of you up in Ontario, it's 4 degrees in Ontario. Buck Showalter, manager of the Orioles, is in his 6th season at the helm of Baltimore. Showalter won his 3rd Manager of the Year award last season. Let's take a look at the lineup for the Orioles. Everett Cabrera, leadoff man. He came over from San Diego trying to win a spot in this utility role. David Lowe, Travis Snyder, the former Blue Jay, then Delman Young, Parmalee, and Scope, middle of the order. Ryan Flaherty at third base. Caleb Joseph did a great job filling in last year for the injured Matt Wieters, and Henry Urrutia. Young Cuban is the DH here this afternoon. Now it's time for the starting pitchers. They're brought to you by Scott's Weed Be Gone this spring. Knock weeds out of your park with Scott's Weed Be Gone. Kills weeds, not lawns.
22-year-old right-hander Aaron Sanchez making his 3rd start of the spring. Made his last start Sunday against the Pirates. Went 3 scoreless innings. He was very impressive. Struck out 3, and he's looking to build on that pitch count. Got through 3 innings with just 41 pitches.
Take a look at the defense behind Sanchez, and Barry Davis told us about the competition. You look at Chris Dickerson in left, of course, in center field. That's the issue. Kevin Pillar, Dalton Pompey in center. Bautista, he's going to be in right all season long. Valencia is at third. Reyes and Historis up the middle. Second base. There's another strong competition here in spring training. Derek Barton at first base, and Russell Martin back behind the plate to handle Aaron Sanchez here this afternoon. Maestros
Turris is probably leading that competition at second base, but that's almost by default. Only 11 games last year before that unfortunate slip in the dugout where he required knee surgery, missed the rest of the season.
That happened in Baltimore against this Oriole ball club. Everett Cabrera leads things off, takes the first pitch strike from Sanchez. Breaking ball misses away. It's 1-1. Cabrera trying to find a spot with the Orioles. You see his record a year ago with the Padres. He's a former All-Star, was an All-Star in 2013 at shortstop for San Diego. He brings the element of speed to Baltimore. He led the National League in stolen bases in 2012. There's a good pitch right at the bottom of the strike zone. It's 2-2.
Catcher Russell Martin gives Sanchez the nod right there. That's a nice spot to be. If he can be down in the zone with that 97, find a lot of success in this game.
Martin wanted an inside pitch, and Sanchez shook him off.
Shook him off twice with the location. Then he went to the curveball as well. We'll see what they settle on here. Looks like it's the new slider he's working on.
There's a little movement inside, and talk about what that slider will do for Sanchez.
What that slider does now, that was a little bit hard with not a lot of movement. That was almost just a cutter. It's still at 95 miles per hour, but he's trying to add another pitch. It's a ball that stays in the zone better.
Bounce off ball play. Sanchez gets in the way, and Martin throws it away. Cabrera is looking at third, and Bautista comes up throwing. It's a long throw on the money in time. Once again, Jose Bautista makes a terrific throw from right field. Everett Cabrera not satisfied, end up at second trying to force the issue, and Bautista throws him out.
Well, this is just one of those swinging bunts. I got it, you take it. Russell grabs the baseball, but in no position to throw. He goes underarm. It's a wild throw to first base. Jose Bautista's got to come a long ways, but one thing he can do is make up for some lost ground with that arm, and he did that a perfect strike. You see Danny Valencia pulling a little deke there at third base.
Well, the Blue Jays had their cutoffs and relays this morning, and they practice it probably about once a week at the most, but boy, that played off right there for Bautista. It erases that air charge to Russell Martin. One down. This is David Lowe, who's in center field. There's another bouncing ball to second. Nice play by Historis. 2 quick outs here in the top of the first. Well, with Sanchez on the mound and that sinking fastball, you anticipate a lot of balls hit to the infield. So the infielders are going to be on their toes. Historis played just 11 games a year ago and then suffered that season-ending knee injury. Trying to win a spot as the everyday second baseman here this spring. Here is the former Blue Jay, Travis Snyder. Acquired in an off-season trade with the Pirates. Trying to make up for the loss of Nick Markakis.
There's a lot of loss in that Orioles lineup, losing the huge production also from Nelson Cruz, who went to Seattle as a free agent. He and Marcus, and then the left-handed arm of Andrew Miller.
It looked like another slider right there, and that was a much better one. And he's ahead of Snyder. Oh, actually, it's 1-1.
Sanchez will have that fastball up around 96, 97. Normally curveball changeup, but the curveball is a big curveball. A lot of over-the-top spin. It's hard to keep that pitch in the strike zone.
There's a good curveball there.
That's the pitch right there. And now the slider is going to be a little tighter, probably being in the zone a little bit more. He's trying to get the call on that. Russell Martin said he's got good spin on the curveball. He's got to mix the slider as well.
Thing you worry about with a young pitcher like Sanchez, he's got a new toy. How much is he going to want to play with it? Looks like they're going upstairs here. Fastball. They get Snyder to foul it back. Of course, Russell Martin knows Travis Snyder very well. They were teammates in Pittsburgh. So he knows he'll chase that high fastball from time to time. I always enjoyed playing against former teammates. You get into each other's head. Who's going to blink first? Pretty good pitch, that comeback fastball.
That's the two-seam fastball from Sanchez. We saw it a lot last year, and with that power arm, a left-handed hitter gives up on this pitch because it's inside, but look at it come back. Nice job by Martin receiving it as well.
There's another slider, and he's trying to throw a little too hard, Joe. You can see that right now. He's around it, and it's not really breaking much.
A slider should not be in the mid-90s. It should probably be around 88 to 90, with his fastball being in that 96 to 98 range.
There's another ball out in front of home. This time Martin calls for it. Not in time. Snyder hustling out of the box, and that was a much more deliberate play as Sanchez and Martin got their signals crossed than the first one. This time they just took a little bit too much time.
Well, this is all about communication. As a catcher, you want to take this ball. You've got your momentum coming out to the baseball. The pitcher would have to come in and change direction. Russell Martin picked this baseball up. It was almost like he was taking his time a little bit. Travis Snyder getting down that line a little better than he thought.
The scorer here scored the first chopper, a base hit for Cabrera. So now there are two infield singles, both chopped off home plate. Delman Young, the veteran, takes one downstairs. Young a year ago hit .302 in a part-time role with the Orioles. 7 homers and 30 driven in. Began his career with the Tampa Bay Rays. Another chopped ball. Sanchez bare hands, and what a stretch at first. Derek Barton can play first base. Orioles aren't squaring up Sanchez at all. That sinker is really diving early. For the first inning, they haven't really been able to swing the bats very well early on. They're looking for a breakout game offensively. Let's take a look at their lineup. Top of the order, Jose Reyes. He is the leadoff man. Meiser Asturis, a switch hitter right behind Reyes. Then the meat of the order, Russell Martin in the third spot this afternoon. Bautista is batting cleanup. Martin, Pilar, and Valencia Left fielder is Chris Dickerson, and Chris Colabello is the DH batting in the ninth spot today, and they're set to take on Ubaldo Jimenez.
31-year-old right-hander Jimenez making his third start of the spring. He pitched last Sunday against the Twins, went a couple of innings, gave up a run, walked 3, but struck out 5. He's really been working with some things in his deliveries. Had some troubles last year, was on the disabled list for a month with a right ankle sprain.
Orioles have always had a good defensive ball club. They don't have a lot of their regulars here this afternoon. It's Snyder, Lowe, and Delman Young from left to right in the outfield. Utility man Ryan Flaherty plays all over the infield. Cabrera and Scope up the middle. Former Twin Chris Parmelee's at first base. And Caleb Joseph, we mentioned what a good job he did last year filling in for the injured Matt Wieters.
Did he ever. Big loss for these Orioles was Matt Wieters, but Joseph stepped up. He and Nick Hundley, Steve Clevenger's caught some games, but these guys really filled a big void with his pitching staff.
Reyes goes after the pitch and grounds it to short. Strong throw from Cabrera, 1 down. Of course, the Orioles' regular shortstop is J.J. Hardy. He's a fixture with this Oriole ball club. Ubaldo Jimenez is now 31 years old. He signed last February 19th with the Orioles and signed a $50 million contract. Had a disappointing season a year ago. And they're trying to iron out some mechanical issues, see if they can't get him to be a little more consistent.
Jimenez has a bit of a quirky delivery, a little unorthodox. You can see how slow and deliberate he is with those body movements, and very difficult to repeat that delivery.
Jimenez spent 6 years with the Rockies. He went 56-45 in his time in Colorado. He was an all-star pitching for the Rockies. And the interesting thing, Joe, that he actually had few more hits per innings pitched in Colorado over those 6 years. He really was one of the premier starters in the National League. There's another sinking fastball. Nice play by Jimenez. Throws out his Sturris. 2 ground ball outs here in the bottom of the first. So that'll bring Russell Martin to the plate against Ubaldo Jimenez. Martin, of course, a free agent signed in the offseason by the Blue Jays, a 5-year contract, and he will be their catcher every day. Boy, he brings a presence to this ball club. He's got a postseason pedigree. Been in the postseason 7 of his 9 professional seasons. Ball on the strike to Martin.
Russell comes with such a tremendous reputation as a receiver, calling a game, and how he handles a pitching staff. But I think that's the biggest thing, but he is going to help both this rotation and the bullpen.
Breaking ball lifted into center. It is really windy here. Anything in the air is going to be an adventure. David Lowe comes in, and the Blue Jays go quietly in their half of the first. He played an inning in Florida. No score.
Jays Spring Training on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Scott's Coated Grass Seed. This spring, build up your outfield, even if you miss a day of watering, with Scott's Coated Grass Seed.
Sun is shining brightly here in Florida. Good crowd on hand once again as they jam into this ballpark here in Dunedin, Florida. Fans from across Canada, Joe, they're out to tell you every single day where they're from and the fact they're down here in this sunshine having a great time in spring training.
And although it's warming up a little bit back home in Ontario, it's not warming up like this. Another beautiful day in Dunedin.
And Sanchez hit for his second inning award. He allowed 2 infield hits. He infield chopper off the bat of the leadoff man, Cabrera. Martin was charged with an error as he threw it down the right field line. Another first pitch swing off the bat of Chris Parmelee shatters his bat. And tell you one thing, the hitters are telling you right now that Sanchez has got that sinker working.
Well, it's a high velocity fastball. We saw it last year out of the bullpen from Aaron, but it's also got good two-seam action. This action get inside on the hands of Parmelee right there, but it's that two-seam action with the ball going down. Hitters will catch the top of the baseball. We saw it in the first inning. A lot of little nubbers.
22-year-old Aaron Sanchez working to 23-year-old Jonathan Schoop. Boy, that is a tough strike. You stay there all day long. You don't have to throw second and third pitches.
Location is important, and then movement. Aaron has them both, and then you add velocity to that, and that's why he had tremendous success out of that Blue Jays bullpen last season.
1 out. But you talk about the round baseball and the sweet spot in the bat, and that movement can do an awful lot for you.
Well, you just get off the barrel is what it does. It can get in, it can go towards the end.
Or you can swing over the top of it.
That's exactly what happened right there. We saw last year when Aaron was in the big leagues at 96, 98, he had tremendous downward movement. You just don't see that with the high velocity. Usually your two-seamer is going to be a little lower, maybe in the 93, 94 range from a guy like Aaron.
There's another slider. As we mentioned in the first inning, Sanchez is incorporating a slider into his arsenal. 2-2. There's a fastball he's late on. A little looper into right. Bautista charges hard. He knocks it down and keeps it in front of him. The wind is really creating problems for the defenders here this afternoon. And Schoop didn't hit it hard, but he ends up with the third hit.
Well, the toughest thing for an outfielder, too, it's a big swing from Schoop. As an outfielder, you're thinking freezing or at least 1 foot step back. But this one's another fastball by Sanchez in on the hitter, and they're getting jammed. He's sawing, breaking bats. They're going to go through the half a lumber company over there on the Orioles dugout.
This is why baseball is so interesting. You look at the box score. If you're not watching this game, you go, boy, Sanchez is getting hammered down in Dunedin. He's given up 3 hits already.
Not the case.
1 out. Ryan Flaherty, the third baseman. Well, with the Orioles, Flaherty has been a very valuable guy. He can play third as he's doing today, play short and second. He can also play in the outfield in an emergency situation. He's a former Rule 5 player. Boy, that late movement. The thing that is really a benefit for Sanchez, everybody knows he throws hard. So with that, hitters are thinking about being quick. And when you're quick and then the movement comes after that velocity, it's a great combination. Two and one.
It's a great combination because as a hitter, you're thinking this one has to be straight. He can't throw every fastball with this much movement. So you go to hit that fastball you think is going to be straight, and as it enters the hitting zone, it dives down, and that's where you get the broken bats and the little weak ground balls.
2 and 1, 1 out. Foul back. There has been the debate all spring long. Sanchez, is he a closer? Is he a starter? In my mind, the most difficult thing to find in baseball is an ace.
And I think there's a lot of people that would agree with you, Buck, starting pitching.
So if you have a young pitcher like John Gibbons has in Sanchez, in Stroman, of course, but he's now injured, and maybe even Daniel Norris, you might have 3 potential aces. So why would you risk putting him down in the pen and retarding his development as a starter when he might become an ace?
And the aces that you speak of are usually starting pitchers that have at least 3 quality pitches. And that's what Aaron possesses.
On the ground, Reyes behind second. He'll go to first as that ball took him out of a chance to turn 2. He was shading Flaherty to pull, and when that ball bounced to the first base side of second, he only had 1 play.
Sanchez, of course, his first reaction. See where Reyes is set up, playing on the full side there of the bag, but gets over the glove of Sanchez. Reyes has got this ball. This is a double play ball normally, but because of the alignment, Turris is not able to get to the bag in time, so he's just got to get the out at first. The Orioles now have a runner in scoring position with 2 out.
Catcher Caleb Joseph hit .207 a year ago for Baltimore. First pitch, strike. Joseph has got some power. He hit 9 home runs last season. But the Orioles really love the way he handles the game, both with his fingers and with his arm. Another bouncing ball. This gets through. Scope around third. Bautista comes up firing. Here's a strong throw to the plate. Not in time. Russell Martin with the sweep tag as Scope slid to the outside and put the hook slide on home plate. And the Orioles take the lead. Bautista with another strong throw.
Well, it didn't initially look like Jose Bautista was going to have a chance here. This ball is just nubbed, and Caleb Joseph hitting against the shift, purposely shooting that ball to the right side. It's not hit very hard. Jose makes this a lot closer than it looked. Russell Martin thought he may have had that tag. Not sure if he got him on the shoulder as he was crossing. But home plate umpire DJ Rayburn says no chance.
1-0 Baltimore. That's their 4th hit so far in this game. Here's the DH in the 9th spot, Henry Urrutia. Urrutia is from Cuba. Last season at AAA Norfolk, he played in 51 games, hit .270 for the Tides. Well, I tell you what, everybody in the ballpark's got to be heads up when Sanchez is pitching, because the hitters are going to hit some foul balls into the opposite dugout. 0-2 to the number 9 hitter. Breaking ball. This is hitting the alley in right center. Caleb Joseph is around second. He's being waved around third. Here's the relay throw to Astros. There'll be no throw to home. Urrutia with a sharp double on a breaking ball has given the Orioles a 2-0 lead.
Well, Aaron got burned with the curveball last year against Yoenis Cespedes, who does an RBI single against the Red Sox, and then he really resisted throwing that pitch the rest of the season. He didn't really need it. He knows now if he's going to enter this starting rotation, he needs all 3 pitches, and he's even working on a 4th. This one, not a very good location. This ball's got to be bounced with 2 strikes. Left that ball out over the plate, and Urrutia made him pay.
Yeah, that was the first well-hit ball the Orioles have had, but he took advantage of that breaking ball. It was up out over the plate. 2-0 Baltimore. Back to the top of the order. Cabrera hit the chopper off home plate. He was given an infield hit. Advanced on the air by Russell Martin as he threw wide of first, and Cabrera was thrown out trying to advance to third by Jose Bautista. Another ground ball to Hopper to short. Reyes gobbles it up. In time, the inning is over, but the Orioles take a 2-0 lead on 3 hits. An RBI double by Urrutia. Thank you.
But return to Rogers Center for opening week presented by Honda, April 13th to 16th. Now, the home opener is sold out, but if you're looking for tickets for the rest of the series against the Rays, you can get them at 416-341-1234 or BlueJays.com.
Barry, that's just a month away, April 13th, and the Blue Jays will open up their season with a 4-game series against Tampa Bay. 2-0 Baltimore. Jose Bautista will lead things off. Jose coming off another outstanding season, 286, 35 homers, and 103 driven in. Ubaldo Jimenez gets ahead of Bautista. Jose was actually with the Orioles in 2004. Played in 16 games with Baltimore after being taken in the Rule 5 draft from the Pittsburgh Pirates in December of 2003. Tries to go with that pitch. That's one thing, Joe, we saw from Bautista last year to kind of counteract those shifts.
And especially in this situation, leading off an inning, nobody on, nobody out, 2 strikes. He's hitting in a defensive position anyway, trying to shoot that ball the other way.
Missed the outside corner, 1-2.
Jose's a very smart hitter. He's not just tremendously skilled, and he'll take what the defense gives him in certain situations.
Ow! That got a lot of meat. Boy, oh boy, John Gibbons is sitting in that dugout cringing right now.
Well, you don't want to see anybody get hit, but when you see Jose Bautista going down that first baseline right now, shaking his arm, there's cause for concern as John Gibbons is right behind his trainer. This pitch gets away. You see Caleb Joseph, the catcher, setting up inside. He tries to get it in there, and in getting out of the way, it looked like it got his right wrist.
Bautista is waving off for substitution. Gibbons was ready to take him out of the game, and Bautista said, no, I'm staying in. George Poulos, the head trainer, out to check him out right now. But you never know. There's so many small bones in your hand. You get a fracture and you miss significant time, but you can see Poulos is really giving him the once-over right there. Of course, the Blue Jays are without Marcus Stroman for the entire season. He tore his ACL and will undergo surgery next week. Edwin Encarnacion has been on the shelf with a back injury. Michael Saunders, who came over from the Mariners in the offseason, is just now recovering from knee surgery, and he's starting to do some baseball activities. So Bautista doesn't want to join that list of injured players. He said, don't take me out. I'm staying right here. So Bautista aboard, Derek Barton, the first baseman. Barton off to a slow start this spring, but yesterday he started to swing the bat a little better, hit the ball hard 3 times. Didn't have much to show for it. How important is it to gain your confidence as a first-year player in camp with a new team?
It's a big deal for Derek Barton, and he just told me the other day he's putting too much pressure on himself. This is a guy that usually has a tremendous knowledge of the strike zone. He can work a walk, get on base. He says, I'm swinging at pitches out of the zone right now, so he feels that he can't really evaluate his swing because it's hard enough to hit strikes, but chasing pitches out of the zone, you've got no chance.
Barton is now 29 years old. He was originally selected by the St. Louis Cardinals in the first round of the 2003 draft. I think everybody forgets the fact that he was a Cardinal initially. And then he went to Oakland in the Mark Mulder trade, where Mulder went from Oakland to St. Louis. 0-2 pitch. Look out. One thing that has always been his trademark, as you mentioned, Joe, was the fact that he had great strike zone awareness.
And hitters will do that when they start pressing because you are coming to a new team. He knows there's a potential job on the line over there at first base with the Blue Jays' intent to hopefully DH Edwin a little bit more. But you come out of your game plan and you come out of your swing, and when you do that as a hitter, you start fighting it, and it's really just fighting an uphill battle.
Fouls off that fastball. Barton actually led the American League in walks in 2010 with Oakland. Really played into that mindset with Oakland of high on base percentage. One thing that he really does well, and it gets overlooked an awful lot, is the way he plays first base.
He has a great glove over there, and if you look at both of the candidates, Justin Smoke as well, he's a big target over there. He's shown some fancy footwork and flashed the leather, so it's a competition going on that'll go to the end of spring.
Ball in the dirt. Bautista is going to move up. Joseph knocked it down, but it bounced too far away from him, and Jose takes advantage. Be a wild pitch charged to Jimenez as Bautista moves into scoring position.
Well, Joseph did what he could to get in blocking position, but you see as a catcher, you get down to one knee here, and that ball went off the heel of his glove. Catchers want to get down to both knees and create a wall there and cup that upper body. He's unable to do that, and Jose advances.
Well, a chance for Barton to have a productive at-bat now with 2 strikes and nobody out. Up and away. You know, Joe, that's a real catch-22 for a player like Barton in a situation like this. You want to get a base hit, but at the same time, you're thinking, my job as a player is to move the runner over.
It's very difficult for him in this situation. You know that he's looking here to swing the bat. The Blue Jays need to see him swing the bat, and it's almost like you have to be a little unselfish right here.
That's off the end of the bat. Little looper behind shortstop. That's going to drop. Bautista read it perfectly, and he's going to score. Oh, what a piece of base running by Jose Bautista. You talk about a superstar player taking advantage of a spring training situation. There it is on display. Bautista read it perfectly, knew it was hit off the bat, and that nobody was going to catch it.
We just talked about Jose and what a smart player he is. What an outstanding read. First he advances on the ball in the dirt to second base to get in scoring position, and now he reads that this ball is off the end of the bat of Barton and it's looped into shallow center field. He knows that David Lowe is not going to be able to get to it. He knows that Cabrera, the shortstop, isn't. But right now, for a runner like Jose to take off at the time he did, there's not a lot of base runners that would have gotten that jump.
Yeah, you can't coach a base runner in a situation like that. The player himself has to take responsibility, and Bautista got an RBI for Derek Barton. Pilar goes after the first pitch, and that wide throw is going to allow him to stay out of a double play. Well, he got jammed on a first pitch from Jimenez and hit what should have been a 5-4-3 double play.
Third baseman number 23, Valencia.
His fastball gets all in on the hands of Pilar, trying to get a ground ball as Jimenez. It's a good feed, too. He will take up, but that throw brings Parmelee off the bag, and that's why as a runner you want to go in hard. That second baseman has to be intimidated knowing you're coming to break up that double play. Nice job by Derek Barton.
Danny Valencia playing at third base today. 1 out. And the first pitch strike on the outside corner. Valencia played with the Orioles in 2013. He had a good run. He hit .304 with the Orioles, 8 homers and 23 RBIs. There are his numbers a year ago, as he split time between Kansas City and Toronto. Pilar's on the move. The hit and run is on, and Pilar will cruise around second and head into third. Danny Valencia delivers a line drive base hit.
Well, Danny Valencia has had trouble with right-hand pitching. He's been a lefty masher, and he wants to change that reputation. This time he takes the fastball from Jimenez, and he drills this ball into the left center gap. With Pilar running, he easily gets to third base. That's what Valencia wants to do. He doesn't want to. He's trying to shake that platoon-type reputation, but until he starts hitting right-handers, it's going to stick with him.
Now Valencia is aboard. Runners at the corners, 1 out. Chris Dickerson playing in left field today. Dickerson now 32 years old, trying to catch on with the Blue Jays. He has spent parts of 7 seasons in the major leagues, started with the Cincinnati Reds. He's also played with the Yankees, the Indians, the Orioles, and Milwaukee. Great jump at first as Jimenez got locked in on the hitter, and Danny Valencia picked his pocket.
And this is something that first base coach Tim Leeper had to be a part of. He knows Jimenez. He saw him a lot last year. He knows he does not pay particularly close attention to runners at first base. he would be in the ear of Valencia right there to say, be heads up. He'll probably come set, not even pay attention. Valencia takes full advantage.
Ball on the strike. In the dirt. Obviously, these two American League East teams know each other very well, and there are some that will argue, well, you shouldn't tip your hand. You should save a play like that for the regular season. What's your take on that?
Well, I agree with them, but, they saw a lot of Jimenez last year, and they're going to again. There's no secrets right there. Ubaldo just does not hold runners on very well, and that's known throughout the league.
Hit hard. That's a fair ball. That should score 2. Pilar's in to score. Valencia right behind him, and Dickerson is headed for third. Scope with the relay throw to third base. It's a good one, right on the money, and Dickerson is out. The Orioles executing perfectly. Delman Young to Jonathan Scope to Ryan Flaherty for the out. But Chris Dickerson puts the Blue Jays ahead.
Chris Dickerson did that pitch, and he gets the bat head out, way out front, pulls this ball down the right field line. Good piece of hitting. Dickerson trying to impress with the bat here with jobs at stake in the outfield, but the Orioles execute the perfect relay, and then the throw is on the money. Dickerson trying to get to third base with less than 2 outs. It's a good time to gamble. The old adage in baseball, never make the first or third out. He's taking a shot there. Perfect relay gets him.
Chris Colabello is the DH this afternoon. He fouls back at the first pitch. It's 3-2 Blue Jays as they take advantage of Jimenez here in the second. Jimenez hit Bautista to start the inning. And then Barton had a little bloop single for an RBI, and Dickerson's double drives in 2 more. Jimenez, his big season came in 2010 with the Rockies. He went 19-8. He had a 288 earned run average, and in that Mile High Stadium, that is really impressive. He finished up the season, as we mentioned, an All-Star, and he's also third in the National League Cy Young voting, behind Roy Halladay and Adam Wainwright. Halladay that season went 21-10 in his first year in Philadelphia. There's a high fly ball to right. Delman Young to his left gets there, and the inning is over. But the Blue Jays take the lead. They score 3 runs, keyed by a Chris Dickerson 2-run double.
The Blue Jays have a very rare day off on Monday, and for a lot of players, they want to just sit back, maybe go fishing, do something like that. But for Kevin Pillar, it's totally different. He and his wife Amanda, they were just married in November. Their lifetime dream, go to Disney World. They're both from California. They haven't really had a chance to see this part of the country, and with the rare day off, he says he's going to go hit some roller coasters, meet Mickey Mouse, and see Disney World for the first time. Guys?
Well, that's the way spring training goes, Barry, and you never know what a player or his family's going to do on an off day, but that sounds like a great plan for Kevin Pillar. David Lowe bunts it out in front of home. Martin quickly on top of it and throws him out. Good play by Russell Martin on the bunt attempt.
Outstanding job that time. Now Martin showing his defense coming out. This is a difficult play right here because as this bunt is down, you know Lowe has speed, but the big thing is that Russell Martin picks up this baseball. When you spin and fire like that, you've got to make sure you square up to first base, and he threw a strike.
Russell's been busy on those little choppers out in front of home. He's had 3 of them already here this afternoon. Travis Snyder, he hit one of those choppers for a base hit. There's a strike from Sanchez.
And the difference in that one and the one we saw in that first inning, Martin was rushed a little bit, threw off balance from an arm angle down below, and the ball ended up down the right field line.
Sanchez is 22 years old. He's a former #1 pick. 2010, he was the 34th player picked overall that season. His development has kind of been inconsistent, if you will. The stuff has always been there. There's no question about his arm, but he's not really put together real dominant stretches, as the Blue Jays have been very cautious with his development. There's another chopper. He's got that bowling ball working, and when he hit the back of the mound, he lost his balance and threw high over Barton's head. He was waiting for it, and the ground disappeared behind him when he came off the top of that mound and lost his balance.
Well, this is what pitchers do. They have to navigate that mound. It's a little more difficult than it looks. It's a high chopper. He's looking straight up in the air for this baseball. And doing that, you lose a little bit of where you are. You can see on that down slope of the mound, what you want to do is catch that ball and gather your feet. But that down slope of the mound got him, and he had a difficult time navigating his feet.
Well, you can see he had no chance to make a good throw because he lost contact with the ground and lost his balance. It is an air charge to Sanchez. That's as tough an air as you'll ever get, Joe.
It's tough, again, to navigate the slope of the mound. But as a pitcher, what you want to do is really try to feel that mound under your feet as you're receiving that baseball. Aaron just got a little discombobulated.
Delman Young, he had a comebacker to the mound to end the top of the first. Boy, it's really an interesting outing for Sanchez. He's given up 2 runs on 5 hits, and only 1 ball has been hit hard. That was the Urrutia double on a curveball. Delman fights it off and fouls it out of play.
And that's why spring training is a nice time. You don't really look at the results, and Aaron's not going to worry about the numbers too much, and either is pitching coach Pete Walker. He sees what we see right now, and it's still that dominating stuff. I think the most important thing they want to see is that secondary stuff come along now.
Ball and a strike, 1 out. He tried to check his swing, and according to Bob Davidson down at first, he didn't.
Think about, as a starting pitcher, you need more than 1 pitch. You have to throw 3 pitches. I'm sure at this point, Aaron's kind of saying, well, they're not hitting my fastball. He's a young guy with a great arm. He's saying, let me just throw the fastball.
Yeah. Bring the heat, a la Nuke LaLoosh. Let me bring the heat. 1-2, 1 out. Oh, nice play by Martin. Boy, that's a tough play right there. And Martin really quick. He's athletic behind the plate. Watch how quickly he moves to his right.
Very difficult to get to this pitch, but you see, Martin, the biggest thing you want to do is anticipate a ball in the dirt, but that's a tough pitch from Sanchez. Martin gets over there, and when you don't get into your blocking position on pitches like that, it's impossible. You almost become a goalie, and you see the way he kind of curved his body. Outstanding job. That ball's not blocked very often.
His body had a good angle. He also had a great angle with his glove. 3-1 to Delman Young. Ball 4. Actually, scoreboard had it 3-1. That ball is in the dirt. Check with the home plate umpire. He's going to give us the count here. DJ Rayburn is behind the plate. Now it's 3-2. Ground ball. Snyder moves to third. Reyes throws out Delman Young. Now there are 2 down. Another ground ball. I tell you what, Orioles are really testing the infield of the Blue Jays here today as Sanchez has got that sinker dive bombing.
And we saw that from Aaron out of the bullpen last year. Now he's trying to get that curveball going. He's trying to get the changeup. Russell Martin talked about incorporating all 3 pitches. Now he's adding a 4th today. Hasn't looked real sharp with that new slider, but it's something he's going to continue to try to develop.
Chris Parmalee had a broken bat ground out in the 2nd. There's a first pitch breaking ball. And Russell Martin, a veteran behind the plate. This is why he is so valuable. He can sit back there and say, we can throw sinkers all day long, but let's get the other pitches into the mix here. Let's see if we can't bring those along as well. He understands what the goal is here in the spring, is to refine the pitches for Aaron Sanchez. One and two.
And with the injury to Stroman, as we talked about in the open, I think that cements the decision. Sanchez belongs in that rotation, and I believe so too. We've talked about it, Buck. When you have stuff like he does, I would rather see him fail as a starter and then put him in the bullpen rather than just throw him there right now.
1 and 2, 2 outs. Travis Snyder at third base. He reached on an error. Tried that slider again and missed with it. But again, got to get your work in. Just continue to try to refine that pitch. Pete Walker, the pitching coach, has worked with Sanchez in between starts to develop that slider. And then we go back to the bread and butter at 97. How about a sinking fastball down and away? That's the first strikeout of the afternoon for Aaron Sanchez.
With so many new players, it's time to update your Jays gear, and that's the place to go, jayshop.ca, the largest selection online of authentic Blue Jays caps, t-shirts, jerseys, and more. Visit jayshop.ca or call 1-877-JAYS-SHOP. You got your new Blue Jay shirt there, Buck?
Do, Barry. A lot of new names, so make sure you get a chance to stop by the Blue Jays shop or log online to bluejays.com and get your Blue Jays gear and get ready for the 2015 season. Jose Reyes is ready for the 2015 season. He shows bunt, drops down a beauty. Jimenez doesn't have a chance. Boy, you talk about a weapon. When Reyes gets that ball on the ground, it's academic.
What Jose does so well right here is he just makes sure that he gets it down to good location, and that's what hitters need to do. It's more important where you get that bunt down. Don't worry about giving away the bunt too early. With the speed of Jose, he beats out easily.
What an offensive player. Of course, he won the National League batting title in 2011 when he hit .337. Had a good year a year ago, hit .287 for the Blue Jays. Jimenez understands he'll run. Reyes was 30 for 32 a year ago in steals. He led the National League in stolen bases 3 times. He had a career high 78 for the Mets in 2007. Fakes a break, and Astros takes a strike. We talk about the competition for second base. We also know that there's ongoing concern about who's going to hit in the 2 spot.
Well, Meister is tourist again. He hasn't played in an awful long time. He'd be the leading candidate, but there is others in camp. And most notably, Devin Travis, the youngster that came over from the Tigers, off to a slow start, but they really love the possibility of him swinging the bat, and he started swinging a little bit the other day against his old team in Lakeland against the Tigers.
Nobody out. Reyes was going, and he gets picked off. The veteran Ubaldo Jimenez waited and waited, and Reyes took the first step, and that was fatal.
And when a base runner is thinking of stealing, you can see Reyes is right here. His first flinch move is going to be towards second base, and you see that, and that's all it takes. Good quick move by Jimenez, holds the ball just long enough.
So Reyes, after the bunt single, is picked off of first base. Meister Asturias, a switch hitter. The Blue Jays all of a sudden have a host of switch hitters that they can use. Asturias, Reyes, of course, Pompey, the youngster. Bouncing ball to first. Pomeroy will wave off the pitcher and take it himself. 2 down. Jimenez gave up 3 runs last inning after he hit Bautista to start the inning. Of course, the Orioles want him to be consistent. They need him to step up and give them some good work. He'll work to Russell Martin with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd. Big breaking ball missed down and away. Jimenez actually had a great stretch of games, 12 starts between the 2nd of May and June 30th, where he pitched to a .341 earned run average. And then he kind of lost his way. He went on the DL. He had a sprained ankle. Went on the DL on the 8th of July. Was out over a month. And that really set him back. Martin with a big cut on the high fastball.
When you sign a big free agent contract like that, too, of course, you're coming in to try to impress. But this Orioles pitching staff was outstanding last year. The starters very good, but that bullpen was very deep. Big reason why that team went to the postseason.
Well, the Orioles just have to figure out how they can utilize Jimenez. They've got him for 3 more years. Bouncing ball, big hop for the second baseman, Jonathan Scope. 3 up, 3 down, and Blue Jays go quietly in their half of the 3rd.
Spring training on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Scott's Coated Grass Seed. This spring, build up your outfield, even if you miss a day of watering, with Scott's Coated Grass Seed.
Beautiful day in the Tampa Bay area. And you asked for sunshine, and you've got it. The wind is kind of kicked up a bit here this afternoon, but it is a summer-like day, and it has been for the last couple of days down here in the Gulf Coast of Florida. Blue Jays will have 20 games after this game, including a game with the Canadian Junior National Team. That'll take place right here in Dunedin on Sunday. It'll be a month from today that the Blue Jays are home at Rogers Center to open up against Tampa Bay on April 13th. Jonathan Schoop will start things off, the Orioles' second baseman. Schoop is just 23 years old. He's from Willemstad, Curaçao. A host of young players from Curaçao making an impact around the major leagues. Schoop just one of them. Xander Bogaerts of the Red Sox, the shortstop, and they're singing his praises this spring down there in Fort Myers. He's doing a great job. Anderson Simmons, of course, the more experienced shortstop for the Atlanta Braves. He, too, part of that Netherlands team in the World Baseball Classic.
Well, Schoop did a nice job last year for Buck Showalter at second base in the middle there with J.J. Hardy, the Gold Glover. Got to be strong up the middle. We hear it all the time, and help him lead that team to the playoffs.
The Yankees have a shortstop this year that is from the Netherlands. He, too, grew up in Curaçao and played with these young players. Didi Gregorius, who was acquired from Arizona by New York. A little tapper, a defensive swing from Schoop. Schoop's a big man. He's 6'2", weighs 210 pounds, and he's got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah, not your prototypical second baseman. He's got a left side of the infield arm, more of a shortstop third baseman. The longer throws from the holes on that left side, but when he's turned some double plays, that ball gets to first in a hurry and really helps.
There's that curveball down and away. Schoop began as a shortstop in professional baseball. Played his first season in 2009 in the Dominican Summer League. Another bouncing ball wide of third. Reyes deep at short. Strong throw on the money. Another ground ball out. Registered by Aaron Sanchez.
Third baseman number 3, Ryan Flaherty.
How much impact can a good defensive first baseman have on the confidence of his infielders?
Oh, absolutely. Those infielders know. We saw Justin Smoke the other day. Anything that just goes off to the left or right, some good footwork, and especially a big man that has that range. Derek Barton has the nice glove over there as well, but it just leaves you room for error, and you know that as long as you get your throw over there, especially when you're rushing, he can help you out.
Well, there in Sanchez, you can see him walking off the mound. His day has come to an end. He finishes up going 3 1/3. He had good stuff working. Good pitcher into the game when we come back. For Aaron Sanchez, he really had that sinking fastball working. He was charged with 2 runs on 5 hits, but only one of those 5 hits was a sharply hit ball. That was the double by Urrutia. And Pete Walker, you can bet they're talking a little bit about the incorporation of that slider, a new wrinkle for him here this afternoon.
Scott Barnes takes over for Sanchez. Barnes' last work on Tuesday, just pitched a third of an inning to get Wilton Lopez out of it. He walked a man before he got out of it. Barnes will be a fastball around 91, 92 miles per hour. He's got a slider and changeup to go with it. Last year, 25 games at AAA.
Pitched at AAA for the Cleveland organization. That was at Columbus. He gets a chance to work against the left-hander, Brian Flaherty. Sanchez had neared his workload today, so they have an opportunity to bring in Barnes and give him a lefty to start his outing with. And he falls behind 2-0. There are a number of guys in camp that are trying to grab a spot in this bullpen, and Barnes is one of them, of course. So much hinges on where Brett Cecil ends up and what his role is. Flaherty taps it to the second baseman. Barnes gets the first batter he faces here this afternoon. If Cecil will move into the closer's role, and that's a possibility, then the Blue Jays are probably in the market for another left-hander to team up with Aaron Loup.
And there's a few of them in camp to try out for that. We think, from what we hear from Pete Walker, do they believe that Cecil can close? I think so. He's got strikeout type stuff. That's what you want at the back end of your bullpen. He did it in college. He does have some experience, but you want more than just the one lefty Loup in the bullpen if that's the case. Scott Barnes is a candidate to be a second lefty.
Colt Hines is in that mix. A lot of time in spring training to answer all of these lingering questions. Caleb Joseph had a ground ball base hit, picked up an RBI his first time up. Pulls this one sharply foul. Blue Jays have a 3-2 lead. Both teams scoring their runs in the second inning. Well, the Orioles have really had a lot of balls down around the label here this afternoon as Caleb Joseph fought that fastball off. Baltimore won 96 games a year ago. They won the division by 12 games. Good breaking ball as Joseph swings and misses. Martin puts the tag on him. Good job by Barnes coming out of the bullpen to get the 2 men he faces. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. We are in Dunedin, Florida, and for those of you watching on MLB Network, welcome to the ballpark. Beautiful day here in Florida. Lots of fans on hand as they make their way into this cozy little ballpark. Jose Bautista will start things off for the Blue Jays here in the fourth. He was hit by a pitch leading off the second. Came around to score. Bautista, showing just exactly what kind of ball player he is, moved to second on a wild pitch and had a terrific trip around the bases when he read the ball off the bat perfectly and scored on a blooper to center.
Those are the intangibles that great ball players bring. Jose, we know of all of his talents, the power hitting as well as the ability to get on base, but just a tremendous read to score on that loop single.
Got a pitch to hit and fouled it back. Bautista a little different than most players I talked to in the past about spring training. He doesn't put a number on the number of at-bats he wants to see. He just wants to see if his eyes are tracking the baseball well. Had a good hack at that. He saw that one all the way.
Jose's very confident in his abilities. He's confident in his swing. But what's most important is seeing the ball and tracking the ball. This ball gets a good piece of catcher Caleb Joseph wearing that hockey-style mask. We're supposed to deflect that ball a little bit more than the traditional mask.
1-2. Bautista carves it through the right side of the infield. Oh, we saw him do that many times last season when they used those exaggerated shifts on him, and this time he shoots down the shift.
We just talk about what a smart player he is. A 1-2 count. Nobody out leading off an inning. Why not settle for a single, shoot something the other way? And this is what we mean. And Jose talks about knowing the strike zone. When he tracks a pitch that's a strike that he knows is a strike and he's correct. When he tracks a ball that's a ball, that's when he's starting to feel good. He's confident in his mechanics of his swing, but understanding the strike zone is when he feels he's ready for the season.
Bautista aboard for a second time. Martin picked up an RBI with a bloop single in the second. Breaking ball around the outside corner deck. Barton is now 29 years old. Played his high school baseball in Huntington Beach, California, and was drafted by the Cardinals in the first round in 2003. Boy, Bautista had a great jump. He just couldn't believe he had that good a jump.
A base runner will cheat sometimes, and we've seen Jose do this before. He cheated so much here, though, that he thought he better get back as Jimenez did not deliver the ball. He would have had this bag stolen easily. Unfortunately, what he did is he also distracted Derek Barton taking the pitch.
Danny Valencia had a steal against Valencia in that second inning. Ball in the dirt, and now Bautista will move up. So he advances for the second time on a wild pitch at ball in the dirt, and Joseph just really couldn't do much with it.
Jimenez throws about 5 pitches. The fastball's over 90, curveball, slider, changeup, and split. And whatever this pitch was, he just spiked it right into the ground. Joseph has no chance to block this ball. When it lands that far out in front of home plate, you can forget your blocking mechanics. You just have to become a goalie, and Caleb wasn't able to come up with that one.
So Barton with another RBI opportunity. Pops this one back. Barton with his bloop single in the second inning picked up just his second hit of the spring. He is now 2 for 15 on the spring, and that's the aspect of a new player trying maybe a little bit too hard to impress his new skipper.
Well, you're trying to get hits, and then you fall behind, and you're off to a slow start. As a hitter, it wears on you mentally. Now you're trying to get 4 hits in one at bat, and it's just a bad approach, but it's just the human nature. You want to do well and impress this new club.
Fouls that one into the Blue Jays dugout. Barton a year ago got into just 30 games with the Oakland Athletics. Spent most of the time down in AAA in Sacramento. At .261 in Sacramento in the Pacific Coast League. 2-2 to Barton. Bautista at second. Pulled on the right side, backhanded by Parmalee. Barton advances Bautista with the ground ball out.
Center fielder number 11, Kevin Pillar.
Kevin Pillar went after the first pitch in his only at bat and hit into a fielder's choice. He'd probably like to have that at bat over again, as he was a little too anxious and went after a borderline pitch.
As a hitter, sometimes you go up looking for that first pitch fastball and you get it. And just because you guessed right, you go hacking, even though it's not a real good pitch to hit. That fastball from Jimenez rode in on the hands of Pillar.
Takes that one down low for a ball. Pillar knows what's at stake here. He's in competition for playing time in center with the youngster Dalton Pompey. That's the same pitch he hit the fielder's choice on in his first at bat, that running fastball inside.
It's a good two-seam fastball from the right-hander running in on the hands of Pillar. This is situational hitting right here. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. The infield's playing in. Ideally, as a hitter, you want to get something out over the plate so that you can get your arms extended and get the barrel to it. What Jimenez is going to try to do is probably tie him up or then go for the punch-out.
He got the pitch to hit up and out over the plate, and he was a little bit late on it. Pillar came into this game for the spring hitting .250. 5 for 20. That's a homer and 5 RBIs so far this spring. Kevin was a 32nd round pick out of Cal State Dominguez Hills back in 2011. Fights it off. The new hitting coach, Brooke Jacoby, has incorporated a 2-strike approach in a round of BP they take every single day. And Pillar is going to have to lean on that right now. He gets called out. DJ Rayburn, the home plate umpire, felt it caught the outside corner. Big pitch for Jimenez.
Well, Jimenez did a nice job this whole at bat against Pillar. He was tying him up with a good fastball, but then he goes away here, just working off the plate away. If he catches the corner, it's a good thing. He does not want to leave it on the plate away because Pillar will be able to hit that. But as a hitter, you give up on that pitch thinking it's away after he's been pitching you in.
Danny Valencia had a base hit his first time up on a hit and run play. Valencia was traded to Baltimore, or from Baltimore to Kansas City, December of 2013 for the Orioles center fielder today, David Lowe. Danny started out his big league career with the Minnesota Twins. Slow breaking ball missed upstairs. Valencia figures into little action at third base, a little bit at first base. He's even played in the outfield a bit here earlier in the spring. Rayburn has been consistent with that outside strike. He likes that outside pitch.
And with the limitations of Valencia, he's been hitting left-handers very well, but not hitting righties very well. He becomes that platoon-type player, so he could get some time in at first base against a lefty on some days.
Bouncing ball, big hop for Flaherty at third. That ends the inning. The Blue Jays leave a runner. We've played 4 here in Dunedin.
Roberto Osuna now on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. And guys, a very interesting story about him. He began baseball at a very, very young age. And when he was 11 was the first time he actually threw a pitch. And he realized it was really good. And he told his dad, who played in Mexico for many years, "Dad, I want to do this for a living." His dad says, "If you're very serious about this, then we have to make baseball your #1 priority." At the age of 12, that was it for him at school. It was baseball 24/7. He pretty much lives that life now. He says he doesn't go out and party like a lot of young guys do. It's baseball, baseball, baseball. He was a little bit sidetracked, obviously, by Tommy John surgery, but he is now so close to making his dream come true and pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays. Guys?
Thank you, Barry. He is 20 years old, and he last year pitched in just 8 games as he was coming back from Tommy John surgery, but he's an interesting young pitcher and has pitched his way into focus here in spring. Henry Urrutia had a double off of Sanchez in the second inning. He's the DH, batting 9th. Osuna is very polished. He pitched professionally as a 16-year-old in Mexico City. Blue Jays actually signed him as they bought the contract from the Mexico City Red Devils. Off-speed pitch, and he had Urrutia out in front off the end of the bat. 1 up, 1 down for Osuna.
Osuna has a mid-90s fastball. He's got the slider and changeup to go with it. This is a young man coming off surgery, just pitched a little bit last year. And with the injury to Stroman, there's a couple spots in the rotation need to be sorted out. With that, it's going to be a domino effect. There's going to be spots opening up in that bullpen. We may see this young man at some point this season.
That's bunted to third base, and Valencia makes a good play, but they don't have much of a shot at Cabrera. Barton knocked it down, and Valencia played it as best he could, but it was a perfect bunt by the leadoff man, Cabrera.
With the bunt coming off the bat of a left-hander, I think Valencia would have been better served to let this ball roll foul. You can see the spin, the rotation on that baseball, that's eventually going to go foul. Valencia gloves that ball thinking he's going to get the speedy Cabrera, but no chance.
Yeah, that's a good call. He was in guarding against the bunt, and I think because he got to it so quickly, he thought he had a chance to throw him out. David Lowe. Lowe is the center fielder. He's grounded out twice. Changeup, and that's a pitch you don't see polished as well as Osuna has so early in his career.
And especially coming back from surgery, and they say coming back from Tommy John surgery, it's usually your secondary pitch is the slider and the changeup. Drew Hutchison talked about that. Slider's that toughest pitch to get that feel back.
One thing we have seen with the limited opportunities to watch Osuna is he throws strikes. And what's the one thing pitchers and managers want to hear from a young pitcher? Strikes. Throw a lot of strikes, you got a chance. 0-2, 1 out. Pushed him back with a fastball.
I think too often pitchers give too much credit to hitters, and they're always trying to use that secondary pitch to trick them or to set them up. Sometimes when you have an arm like Osuna, stay aggressive, but because of that high-powered fastball, a lot of those guys tend to be a little more erratic. Osuna seems to hone it in pretty good.
Changeup, and he strikes out David Lowe. What a good pitch with 2 strikes.
But when you have the high-powered fastball of Osuna, a secondary pitch is crucial because the hitters cannot sit on anything. This time it's the changeup. The changeup for me is the best secondary pitch. It's better than a pitch that rotates like the curveball or slider. Changeup comes out of the hand just like the fastball, and the key with Roberto, same arm speed.
Osuna to face Travis Snyder now. Snyder's been aboard. He reached on a infield hit and reached on an error. There's a high, deep drive to right field. Bautista coming over into foul ground. He is going to run out of room. Snyder jumped on that first pitch and it's a high, deep foul ball. Osuna is from Mexico. Lives in Los Mochis, Mexico. He just turned 20 years old in February. A little bit of a cutter. That's a new pitch that he has worked on in the off season. As Barry mentioned, Roberto's father pitched 22 years professionally in Mexico. And his uncle, Antonio Osuna, pitched for the Dodgers many years in the big leagues.
Some good bloodlines there.
Boy, he's not afraid to come inside. Missed with another good pitch. There goes the runner, a changeup. Russell Martin's quick throw. What a tag by Reyes. Russell Martin with a quick release. Reyes was there in plenty of time to take the low throw, put the tag on Cabrera to end the inning. Russell Martin's on top of his game early.
Stand right here.
Welcome back to Dunedin as we move to the bottom of the fifth inning. Little Osuna got out of that inning with the help of Russell Martin and Jose Reyes.
Joseph.
With us now, we're pleased to be joined by the pitching coach of the Toronto Blue Jays, Pete Walker from the Blue Jays dugout. And Pete, pretty interesting day for you. First of all, with Aaron Sanchez, he didn't really get hit hard. And give me your evaluation of his outing here today.
I think he was great. Pounded the zone, 2 strikes, power sinker, beyond belief. I think we're all pleased with the way that ball was acting out of his hand. He got burned on one curveball, 0-2 pitch that I know he wants back, but he's still working on that as well. So we want to be able to throw that for strikes and take it out of the zone for a ball right there. But fantastic. You look at a line, 2 runs, 5 hits or 6 hits, but he pitched very well.
Pete, how hard is it to convince this young man with this high-powered fastball with that great movement that you still want to have those secondary pitches? He's probably reluctantly still working on those pitches.
Yeah, this time of spring training, he could have probably just thrown off fastballs today and had a pretty effective outing. I think we know that. But to get into the 6th, 7th, 8th inning this year, if he is starting in that rotation, which it certainly looks like he's a strong candidate, he's going to be up to change speeds. He's going to be up to use his curveball, and you did notice a few sliders today. So they're really tight and small right now, but it's a pitch that may help him get over the hump as well and get deep into games.
Pete, give us your impression of Sanchez initially, about his coachability and how much he wants to learn and make this something that he can ride for a long time.
He's tremendous. I think every aspect of the game, on and off the field, he's always listening. He's talking to his teammates. He's talking to his coaches. You know, he's just a pleasure to be around. Certainly hungry. You know, it's kind of some of the new blood coming through the system right now, and we're certainly starting to see the benefits of that. He's a guy that certainly can be around for a long time, and you know, it's a pleasure to be around. Constantly picking everybody's brain, talking to Russ in between innings. You know, obviously we have great conversations ourselves, so it's been a pleasure to be around him so far.
Dickerson hits the ground ball to short. Talking about new blood, you've got a youngster on the mound right now in Roberto Osuna. He's 20 years old. This is the first time you've had a chance to work with him. What impresses you about Osuna?
Yeah, you know, he's command, poise, all those intangibles right now. Certainly he's young. He's still in his developmental phase, I guess, but man, he looks like a polished veteran out there right now. You know, in the limited time we've seen him, his mound presence, it looks like he's been pitching for 10 years in the big league. So, you know, early impressions are great. It's still early in the spring. I'm sure we'll see him a number more times, but he's someone who's very interesting and certainly going to make an impact with this team at some point.
Pete, with the injury to Marcus Stroman, that clearly opens up 2 spots now in the rotation, and you think of the domino effect into that bullpen. How realistic to think of a Osuna or even a Miguel Castro that we've seen, 2 fine young 20-year-olds with these great arms, seeing them in Toronto at some point this season? Yeah,
I mean, it's certainly a strong possibility. I mean, I just think we got to continue to watch them during spring training. They're still developing, but from a stuff standpoint, it's tremendous, and they're certainly shown that they can handle the pressure so far. You know, it's a spring training atmosphere, so it's not quite the regular season in the major leagues, but you know, so far so good, and you know, it's a long spring. We'll get a number of appearances left, and we'll get a chance to evaluate them.
Pete, how refreshing was it to have the young pitchers approach you about making road trips?
That was impressive. That was unusual. I mean, in this day and age, you know, a lot of those guys don't like to go on trips if they're not scheduled to pitch. But both Osuna and Castro approached me about making trips, and you know, even when they're not pitching, to be around the environment, which is something we had talked about anyway. But the fact that they came to us first was pretty impressive. So they'll be on all those trips even when they're not pitching, and taking it in and watching big league baseball.
Boy, that's great news, and obviously where you're going to learn more than watching baseball games. That was Castro you saw sitting down in the bullpen, and he'll work next week. But Pete, this whole bullpen situation, give us the latest update on Brett Cecil. He's been bothered by some shoulder problems. Where's he stand right now?
He feels good. Talked to him today and said he actually feels great. So those are good words to hear at this time. You know, I know he was a little bit sore early on, but has worked through it. We're going to start his throwing program. He'll probably be off the mound here in the next couple of days, and hopefully get him into at least a half a dozen games before the end of spring.
Is there still enough time for him to be ready for opening day?
Yeah, you know, it's not a perfect situation. You like to have an entire spring, but for, you know, you look at established closers in the game, and certainly he's not that, but he's been around the game long enough to know what he needs to get ready, and you know, I think it's smart to kind of take it easy on some of the veteran guys anyway early in camp, and make sure, especially relievers, it's a long camp for relievers. It's you know, this day and age, I think again, it's spring trainings for the starting pitchers to build up their innings, and relievers, as long as they get 6-7 appearances, I think they should be fine.
Pete, thanks you for your time. It's great to have you.
Yeah, great to be here, Buck.
All right, that's Pete Walker, the pitching coach of the Blue Jays, giving us his thoughts about the status of the pitching staff. Reyes bounces it foul with 2 outs. New pitcher for the Orioles is T.J. McFarland. Reyes had a bunt base hit his last time up. He was picked off of first base by Ubaldo Jimenez, the starter. T.J. McFarland, 25 years old. He's a Rule 5 pickup. The Orioles picked him up 2 years ago from the Cleveland Indians. He's been a starter throughout his minor league career, but boy, he's developed into a very effective relief pitcher.
Well, and he was outstanding last year in that bullpen for Buck Showalter. 2.76 ERA. Lots of ground balls. When you get over 62% ground balls, that's a good 2-seam fastball. That was an outstanding bullpen for those Orioles last season that led them to the playoffs.
Reyes goes after the off-speed pitch. He's behind 1-2. Ubaldo Jimenez went 4 innings, allowed 3 runs on 5. Edson Reyes has his second hit of the afternoon. His first at bat as a right-handed hitter. He was a 2-out single.
second baseman.
Jose's a hacker. He is going up hacking. He's looking early in the count, and it's going to be tough to get a fastball by him. This one's out over the plate, and he is teeing off on, gets the bat head out, and he drills this ball into left field.
Miser Astros, the second baseman, will turn around and bat from the right side. He threw for the first time this afternoon. 2 outs. McFarland ahead with a strike. His Astros numbers from a year ago, that's just an 11th game. We mentioned he had a season-ending injury just before the start of a game in Baltimore early in April. He got up to a good start and had hopes for a strong season, but then that one misstep as he was coming down the dugout at Camden Yards tore up his knee. John Gibbons is of the mind now it's time to push the Astros a little bit and see what they have.
He's in third year of a 3-year contract, so he's got guaranteed money, but missing so much time last season, and with the presence of Devin Travis now, Ramon Santiago also a nice pickup.
There's a base hit just inside the right field foul line. Reyes is headed toward third. They're going to stop him at third as Astros has a 2-out double. Miser Astros lines one over the head of the first baseman of T.J. McFarland. Back-to-back 2-out hits.
Nice piece of hitting by Astros, and it's good to see him going with this pitch. Pitch from McFarland out over the plate, maybe even off that outside corner, but not trying to do too much, not trying to pull the baseball. He just shoots this right down the right field line. And again, when you've missed a lot of baseball, he has not faced a lot of live pitching. He is just getting back into the swing of things, quite literally. Good to see him not trying to do too much with that pitch.
Russell Martin batting in the third spot. He's got 0 for 2 so far. A fly out and a ground out. Fastball on the outside edge, and Martin's asking the home plate umpire, DJ Rayburn. Rayburn has been generous on that outside strike here this afternoon.
Russell saying, I haven't been getting that one.
Russell Martin a year ago with the Pirates drove in 67 runs. He had a career high 87 ribbies with the Dodgers in 2007. He's a very interesting combination, a two-way player, fine defender and a good offensive catcher. It's interesting, Martin says lately, the last couple of years, he's picked up some defensive tips from Yadi Molina. He's watched Molina hard the last couple of years when they were both in the National League, and Martin said he's learned some positioning things from Molina that helps him throwing and blocking balls. Cut on and miss. McFarland gets out of a 2-out jam. Blue Jays leave a pair. We'll head to the 6th. Blue Jays have a 3-2 lead over the Orioles.
Live streaming sports service is now available. Watch over 250 spring training games and every regular season game live or on demand in true HD. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. Buck?
Thank you, Barry. Certainly stay up to date on everything happening around baseball with MLB.com. New pitcher for the Blue Jays is Wilson Lopez. Those are his numbers from a year ago.
23 games in AAA last season. He pitched on Tuesday against the Twins here in Dunedin. Had a bit of a trouble, couldn't get out of an inning, gave up a couple of runs. Another one of those candidates from the right side, though, in this bullpen. And there's a lot of jobs opening up down there with that injury to Stroman.
Well, Lopez is 31 years old. He's got over 4 years of major league service. He signed originally with the Yankees way back in 2002. Pitched 4 seasons for the Astros, 2009 through 2012. Kind of a versatile guy. He has lots of experience. He's one of those guys that doesn't overpower you, but he really changes speeds very well. Travis Snyder leading things off here in the 6th.
Fastball average around 90 miles per hour. He's got a slider and a changeup. His changeup, he says, is his secondary pitch, best second pitch.
Snyder drives it to left field. Chris Dickerson to his right makes the catch. One down. So with one out, Delman Young will face Lopez.
The right fielder, number 27, Delman Young.
Delman Young has grounded out twice.
Good idea.
Many opportunities there for the taking for the Blue Jays relievers in this camp. We heard from Pete Walker last half inning about the status of Brett Cecil. It sounds like he's coming around, and Cecil's had some shoulder issues. They're going to start building him up once again with the throwing program. There's that off-speed pitch, big swing from Delman Young.
I think when the Blue Jays came to camp, you're looking at having Cecil and Luke from the left side in that bullpen. And if you were to have Sanchez with the big power arm and the veteran Estrada down there, it kind of solidifies your bullpen from the right side as well. That's hoping that maybe Daniel Norris would win that 5th spot. But things have changed with his injury to Stroman.
In case you're just joining us, Aaron Sanchez started this game this afternoon, and he pitched well. You look at his line for the day, 3 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs. You say, well, that wasn't so good. But there was only one ball hit hard, and that was an 0-2 curveball that he left up out over the plate to Henry Urrutia. Many of the hits were toppers that were hit off the plate. A couple of them right out in front of home plate. Ball is hammered, but well foul.
Good wood, brother, good wood.
That's the changeup from Lopez right there, but that is not where a pitcher wants to throw his changeup. He's lucky that ball stayed in the park against a hitter like Delman Young, up in the zone, out over the plate.
A little looper into center. Pilar coming hard. He's going to play it on the bounce as Delman Young bumps one in center field. A 1-out single for Young. His first hit of the afternoon. The Orioles have been smart hitters today. They've hit him in places where the Blue Jays don't have anybody playing.
And after he hung that changeup that I said he got away with, he comes back with a fastball, gets in on the hands of Young. It's a good pitch when you come back with the heater after that changeup. But Delton got away with him right there, and Delman knows that looped that right where he needed to.
Missed downstairs for ball 1. It's Chris Parmalee, the first baseman. New catcher behind the plate taking over for Russell Martin is Sean Ochinko. He finished up his season a year ago in AAA Buffalo. Played most of the season in AA at New Hampshire. 2-0. Now 3-0, and the ball gets away from Ochinko, and Delmon Young takes second. Might have been a cross-up there. You can see Ochinko out talk to Lopez as they're both just into the ball game, and Delmon Young takes advantage.
Well, what happens too? You get a new pitcher coming in the ball game, new catcher. They're going over things. You can see the different signs that he's giving right there. A couple of fingers. They finally came to agreement. But as a catcher right here, if you're not sure, the pitcher knows you've got to get that stuff straightened out, and he crossed him up right there through a fastball. Clearly, Ochinko looking for an off-speed pitch.
Three and one now to Parmelee. That last play was ruled a wild pitch, and Ochinko was clearly crossed up. You could see he was expecting a slower breaking ball and got handcuffed by that fastball. There's ball 4 as Parmelee takes a walk. It'll be first and second with one out. Jonathan Scope, the batter, the second baseman, has got 1 for 2 so far. He scored a run in the second. The Orioles don't have a lot of their regular players here on this trip today, as they made a road trip yesterday, a 3-hour bus ride over to Jupiter to play the Cardinals, and then they had to get right back on the bus and come up here to Dunedin, another 90-minute bus trip. Orioles have gotten some encouraging results from Matt Wieters. He is coming back from Tommy John surgery, and he's scheduled to get behind the plate next week. Down to 17, Buck Showalter will anxiously await his return behind the plate, having lost him last year to Tommy John surgery. Broken bat to third. Valencia quickly to second for 1, and Parmelee makes sure that Astros had no chance to throw it to first base. Parmelee did a good job of bearing down on the second baseman to eliminate any possibility of turning 2.
And Astros really doesn't have much he can do with that. The ball was hit very softly to Valencia. Lopez broke the bat that time of Scope. When the ball's hit softly, that runner's coming from first. He gets there quickly. You want to just get the one out.
Ryan Flaherty playing at third base this afternoon. He's grounded out twice to the second baseman. Off-speed pitch down and away for ball 1. Flaherty is now 28 years old. Played his college baseball at Vanderbilt. And it's interesting, he grew up in Portland, Maine, but ended up at Vanderbilt. Coach at Vanderbilt has New England ties, and he got a lot of those New England high school players to commit to playing down at Vanderbilt. 2-0. Cut on and missed. He had a good 2-0 cut.
That's the changeup from Lopez, and when a pitcher has confidence in that off-speed pitch, he'll pitch backwards a little bit, throwing the off-speed and a fastball count. Flaherty looking dead red fastball right there. Good changeup, good arm speed by Wilton Lopez.
Flaherty made a start at each of the 4 infield positions last season. Started one game at first. He's primarily a middle infielder. But with the loss of Manny Machado last year, he made 27 starts at third base, 29 starts at second, and 21 at short. He appeared in 4 games in the outfield as a defensive replacement as well, so he's versatile, very valuable for Buck Showalter. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Strike 3. Flaherty knew it. He got looking for that off-speed pitch, and Lopez got him with a fastball. Orioles strand the pin.
NHL fans, Friday night hockey hits Kitchener tonight as Tyler Bertuzzi and the Storm face Ryan McInnes and the Rangers tonight, 7:30 Eastern on Sportsnet East, Ontario, and Pacific. Buck?
Thank you, Barry. Great to have Barry here to help us out with all those reads and let you know what's coming up on Sportsnet. Good day for a ball game here in Dunedin. Started play today. The temperature was 26 degrees. I'd like to welcome all of you that are watching on MLB Network. Great to have you alongside Buck Martinez, Joe Siddle here as we are set for the bottom of the sixth. Jose Bautista has had a good day at the plate. Been on base twice, got hit by a pitch, scored a run, and he's single. Bautista with the count in his favor, 2-0. This is when he'll really keyhole, look for something he can hit hard. Up and away, 3-0.
He may be doing the same here at the 3-0 green light. What you're looking for is a power hitter. Jose's looking for something out over the front. He wants to start his swing on time, but most importantly, catch something out front, get something preferably middle in.
4-pitch walk to Bautista. That starts the inning here in the sixth. TJ McFarland in the second inning of work. Bautista is going to have his day come to an end. He will be lifted in favor of the pinch runner at first. That'll be Steve Tollison taking over as the pinch runner at first base. Bautista finishes up the day. Officially 1 for 1. He's been on base all 3 times. Good day's work for Bautista. And Steve Tollison as the pinch runner. Derek Martin, the first baseman, has gone 1 for 2 so far. In the bottom of the sixth, both teams have scored their runs in the second inning. Baltimore got 2, and Blue Jays answered with 3 of their own. There's a ball driven to right. Nolan Reimel fresh into the game. Tollison hustles back, slides in safely as Reimel retires Barton on the line drive to right.
Center fielder number 11.
The Orioles have made wholesale defensive changes. We'll keep you up to speed as we go along here. Kevin Pillar has gone 0 for 2 with a strikeout. He was caught looking back in the 4th inning. That's that same pitch he was called out on his previous at bat, that outside fastball. He's going to have to expand his zone a bit.
And Pillar's got the same look on his face as he did when he got rung up.
Pillar asked for time, and it was granted by the home plate umpire. Blue Jays can play hit and run here. Pillar handles the bat very well. Tollison runs well. He may have been running, and McFarland picked up on that. Christian Walker is a new first baseman for the Orioles. Ryan Lavarnway behind the plate. Pillar reaches for that outside pitch. He's going to cover that outside corner now. You can bet he's going to do it with 2 strikes.
Well, this is part of adjusting to the big leagues and how they're going to pitch. Kevin Pillar's been up for parts of a couple of seasons now. He's starting to gain that experience and understanding. He's been around the league a little bit. A lot of the scouting is out there, and they're attacking weaknesses and clearly working him away. He's going to have to cover the outside part of that plate.
Way outside. That one wasn't even close. Isn't that true, boy? Pitchers will understand if an umpire's going to give you a pitch, he'll go right back to that spot. So the hitters have to be aware of that, make adjustments, and sometimes you just got to protect that outside corner. He certainly got the outside half in his mind now. See if Lavarnway and McFarland pick up on that and try to bust him inside. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Lavarnway was trying to sneak in there that pitch, but McFarland missed badly arm side. A lot of times those pitchers will try to so hard to get the ball in on a righty that they'll jump out and that arm will trail. They'll miss away. He's coming in there again.
Missed inside. Full count, 1 out. Blue Jays have a 3-2 lead. You have to expect Tollison to be on the move here. Danny Valencia is on deck. Pilar is a good contact hitter. They create some movement if they start the runner. Might open up a hole on the infield. There goes the runner, and Pilar covers that outside pitch this time and fouls it back.
And it's a tough situation for Tollison right here with the 3-2 count. He's got the green light to go here with only 1 out. You have to make sure the lefty McFarland goes home. The last thing you want to do here is take off first move and get picked off. He's waiting till he goes home. If Pilar strikes out, Tollison could be in trouble at second base.
Another pitch outside. He reached to foul it off. He stays alive. But you're right, Tollison, he has to make sure that the pitcher goes home before he can ring.
And that's just the gamble that you take in this situation. John Gibbons is saying, we're going to go. I'm confident that my hitter right now, Pilar, is going to put the ball in play. And you see Kevin making that adjustment, covering that outside pitch right there. That's the pitch he got rung up on back in that 4th inning.
There's a base hit to right field. Tollison touches second. He's headed for third. Pilar with a big aggressive turn around first, and Kevin Pilar delivers on a 3-2 pitch as he singles to right.
That's the type of at-bat that shows you Kevin Pilar is growing as a hitter. McFarland working him way early, came in. That pitch he tried to go back away again, and with Tollison running, Pilar had just fouled the pitch previously off the plate away. He stays on this pitch even better. It covers it and shoots this ball into the right center gap. Just again, an example that shows us that Kevin Pilar growing as a hitter here at the major league level.
Yeah, he really had a determined at bat. He hit a couple of pitches that were about 10 inches off the plate outside to stay alive, and then he got a fastball and hammered it to right. Tollison ends up at third. Danny Valencia with 1 out. There goes the runner, and Pilar will go in standing up as the ball was down and in. So he'll pick up a stolen base. Valencia had a stolen base back in the 2nd inning when he picked the pocket of Ubaldo Jimenez. Never even looked at Valencia at first. Now the infield has to come in and play on the edge of the grass. Down and away. New infield for the Orioles from third base to first base. Matt Tuiasosopo's at third. Jason Nix at short. Ray Navarro is at second, and Christian Walker at first. They've made wholesale changes here in the 6th. There's a base hit up the middle. Tollison's in to score. Pilar's around third. Here's the throw from center. Bounces high off the mound. And Pilar scores 2-run single for Danny Valencia, his 2nd hit of the afternoon.
Well, Kevin Pilar took off first move, stole the bag easily on McFarland to get himself in scoring position. What that did is it forced Buck Showalter's hands to bring the infield in. In doing that, Valencia didn't get a lot of this ball off the end of the bat. Almost broke his bat, but he is able to get it up the middle, and that's going to bring in 2 for the Blue Jays. Just a good piece of hitting here. We talk about how Valencia is a lefty killer. He stays on this baseball, but gets it on the end of the bat. But because the drawn in infield, it gets through and scores 2 for the Blue Jays.
That was a pretty good pitch down and away, but he stayed on it and picks up a couple of RBIs. Valencia with a good day at the plate, finishes up 2 for 3. He's out of the game. Chris Dickerson off the end of the bat, up the middle. Navarro crossed his body in time to retire Dickerson. The pinch runner, Munenori Kawasaki, moves from second to third. Now there are 2 outs. John Gibbons getting a chance to see a lot of his players early in the spring, and Valencia does what he's supposed to do as he delivers a 2-run single against the left-handed pitcher. McFarland, the second Orioles pitcher to work here, although Jimenez started, went 4 innings, charged with 3 runs on 5 hits. Chris Colabello, the DH this afternoon, 0 for 2 so far.
Danny Valencia just continuing to help his chances there in that first base puzzle. There, Barton, Justin Smoke, Valencia certainly in that mix, and I really believe John Gibbons would love to slot Edwin into that DH spot and keep him off his feet as much as he can with his little injury past.
Encarnacion has been out of the lineup the last few days. He is dealing with a sore back, and it has been a problem for him. So Valencia, Smoke, Barton all getting extra ABs. Jose Bautista is out of the game. He had a good day at the plate. Bautista also had a good day in the field. He threw out a base runner in the top half of the first inning when he got Everett Cabrera trying to advance on the throwing here by Russell Martin, trying to go all the way to third. Bautista threw him out easily to start the game.
A little surprising to see Cabrera maybe not knowing Bautista as well as others in the American League and his arm in right field.
Off-speed pitch. Colabello pulls it down to third. Matt Tuiasosoku throws him out. The Blue Jays out of pair. Danny Valencia comes up with a 2-run single. Blue Jays lead the Orioles 5-2. Sanchez was the starter here this afternoon. He had an active day. It makes a fine play on this little tapper.
That's a tremendously athletic play right there by Sanchez, chasing that ball down the third baseline. There's that good 2-seam fastball. High-powered, high-octane 2-seam fastball, 96 to 98.
Excuse me, Jerry. And Sanchez went 3 1/3, gave up 5 hits this afternoon. This is the starting rotation and what they have done so far this spring. Dickey's had a good knuckleball. Burley was good yesterday. And overall, Drew Hutchison has been the most consistent of all the starters.
Well, the bottom line is the two veterans, Dickey and Burley, are going to lead this rotation. The Blue Jays expect big things from Drew Hutchison this year after a nice complete season last year after the Tommy John surgery. But it's that last couple spots in the rotation, and we see those three names that are up for grabs. Norris being the youngster. Aaron Sanchez, I think, has cemented that spot in the rotation now with the injury to Stroman. And then you've got the veteran swingman, Marco Estrada, that can do both from the bullpen or a starter. He did it with the Brewers last season.
Colt Hines is the new pitcher into the ballgame for the Blue Jays to start the 7th inning. This is Ryan Lavarnway, who took over defensively behind the plate for Caleb Joseph. And a high fly ball deep to left field, and that ball is going to hook well foul. Lavarnway trying to win a spot on this roster, formerly of the Boston Red Sox, and he's in camp. J.P. Arencibia also trying to win a spot as a backup catcher. Lavarnway has to deal with Caleb Joseph, who was the incumbent that did a good job for Buck Showalter a year ago.
Joseph struggles with the bat a little bit, but what an outstanding job he does defensively. And boy, did he ever fill that role in the absence of Matt Wieters last year. Talk about carrying a team into the playoffs. Pitching was a big part of it.
2 balls and a strike. Lavarnway is now 27 years old. He has spent his entire career with the Boston Red Sox prior to this spring. Originally drafted in the 6th round, 2008 by Boston. His best opportunity to play came in 2012 when he appeared in 46 games, had 153 at-bats with the Red Sox, but hit just 157. Two balls and 2 strikes. Lavarnway leading off the top of the 7th. Breaking ball. He just barely got a piece of it to stay alive. Lavarnway a year ago played Double-A for 3 games in Portland, but spent most of the season at Pawtucket Triple-A, where he hit 283. Hits this one hard, but well foul. We'll be right back with you tomorrow afternoon from Dunedin. The Yankees will be here at Florida Auto Exchange Stadium. Esmail Rogers is scheduled to start for New York. No, excuse me, that's not Bob Davis anymore. The umpires have moved around a little bit. But Lavarnway checked his swing.
Good pitch by Hines. It looked like Lavarnway did go. Catcher Sean Ochinko asked for the appeal down there, but did not get the call.
Line to Kawasaki as Lavarnway hits the soft liner to third, 1 down. Munenori Kawasaki has fans wherever the Blue Jays go. He always gets the biggest applause when he is announced into a ball game. He has re-signed with the Blue Jays on a minor league contract. He's been pretty valuable for the Jays the last couple of years. Filled in for Urias 2 years ago after Jose hurt his ankle in Kansas City. This is Henry Urrutia, the DH. Urrutia hit the hardest ball of the afternoon against Aaron Sanchez. It was an 0-2 curveball that he lined into the alley in right center, pick up an RBI. Colt Hines was originally drafted by the Padres in 2007. Bounce ball up the middle, and that sneaks under the glove of Izturis as Urrutia has his second hit of the afternoon.
Hines vying for a bullpen spot as well. There's another left-hander that Pete Walker has talked about. And we talk about the fallout from this rotation with the injury to Marcus Stroman, opening up spots down there. If Brett Cecil is slated into that closer's role, I would have to think that Pete Walker and John Gibbons want another lefty down there for those middle innings with Aaron Loup.
Nolan Reimel entered the game as a defensive replacement. He is in right field. He bats here with one out.
Hello.
Reimel spent some time a year ago with the Blue Jays. Came up originally with the Orioles and has dealt with injuries throughout his career. He's now 31 years old. Kevin Pillar in center has a bead on it. Waits on the high fly ball and retires Reimel.
Hines got a little time up with the Padres back in 2013, pitched in 22 games, so he's just another one of the guys, and the Blue Jays have a lot of these guys in camp vying for these bullpen spots. Most of them have a little bit of major league time, a little bit of experience. Nobody that's really had a lot, some waiver claims. He came off waivers from the Dodgers, some minor league free agent, trying to fill these spots at the back end.
Hines is the fifth pitch of the work this afternoon. Sanchez started, went 3 1/3. Scott Barnes pitched 2/3 of an inning as he closed out the fourth. And then Osuna for an inning, Lopez for an inning, now Colt Hines. This is Jason Nix, who took over at shortstop. Nix is a veteran. He's been around. He started his career as a first-round pick of the Colorado Rockies. He spent time with the Yankees, the White Sox, the Royals, Colorado, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Toronto. Played with the Jays in 2011. Last season, Jason played with 3 different big league clubs. Here he strikes out against Colt Hines. The Orioles leave a runner in their half of the 7th, who are headed to the bottom of the 7th. 5-2 Blue Jays.
7th inning stretch.
J bobblehead dates return for 2015. The first 20,000 fans for each game will receive a bobblehead. The first goes April the 19th against the Braves, where you can receive a Jose Bautista bobblehead. And later on in the year, Bell, Mosby, and Barfield bobbleheads. That's going to be kind of neat to have. And guys, we're looking to somehow create the Joe Siddall bobblehead, but I do not believe it has been in construction as of yet.
Well, we got to be working on that, Barry. We got to get that Joe Siddall bobblehead doll done. It's going to be an interesting first homestand. Tampa Bay Rays will open things up for the Blue Jays starting the 13th of April. It's a 4-game series. And then that weekend series that Barry just mentioned against the Atlanta Braves. 17th is a night game. 18th and 19th, both day games. They start at 1:07. And, of course, on the 19th, that first bobblehead day of the 2015 season. New pitcher for the Orioles is Tyler Wilson. Right-hander in to work the 7th. Wilson is 25 years old. Drafted originally by Cincinnati in 2010, but chose not to sign, went back to Virginia, and the Orioles took him in the 2011 draft. Ramon Santiago getting his first at bat of the afternoon. A switch hitter batting left. Takes an off-speed pitch in there for a strike. It's 1-2.
Ramon could be another one of those in that mix at second base, Buck. Here's a guy, again, that came from a winner. He's been to the playoffs with the Tigers. A lot of postseason experience.
Goes after that high fastball and can't connect. A 93-mile-an-hour heater. 1 strikeout for Wilson.
Wilson split time last year between AA Bowie and AAA Norfolk. Made 28 starts, 14-8 with a 3.67. That's the type of depth that you want to have in AAA, and the Orioles just keep pushing them out.
Orioles got to see a couple of their top prospects yesterday in Jupiter, in Dylan Bundy and Hunter Harvey. 2 real top-notch pitching prospects. Bundy coming back from surgery, and Hunter Harvey, a top draft pick that is the son of Brian Harvey, the former closer in the major leagues. They got some pitching coming. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Stewart drives it to left field. That ball is getting blown around and is finally hauled in. That is Mike Yastrzemski out there in left field. He made the catch on that fly ball. Orioles have made wholesale changes from their starting 9. This is Sean Ochenko, the catcher who took over for Russell Martin. Ochenko's first AB of the afternoon. It's a good hard breaking ball. It bounced in the dirt. It's a ball in the string. Now it's 2-1. We mentioned the Yankees will be here tomorrow. We'll have the game for you right here on Sportsnet. And Daniel Norris will start for the Blue Jays. Young left-hander who has been the subject of a lot of interesting articles around baseball, talking about Daniel Norris not only because he's a good pitcher, but he and his Volkswagen bus have gotten a lot of attention. He's got a yellow and white Volkswagen bus that he is nicknamed Shaggy. There's a liner into right. That's going to drop in front of Reimold and get past him. Ochenko is around first, headed for second. Sean Ochenko with a double here with 2 outs in the 7th.
This piece of hitting by Ochenko right here. He takes this fastball from Wilson up and out over the plate. Again, a hitter not trying to do too much, and that's something, again, that Brooke Jacoby, the Blue Jays hitting coach, and Eric Owens, his assistant, Trying to get guys to take what's given by the pitcher, not trying to do too much. He goes with that pitch, lines it into the right field corner.
Steve Tallison getting his first at bat. He came into the ball game as a pinch runner for Jose Bautista. We want to mention that Norris, who is pitching tomorrow, he's made 2 starts so far. It'll be his 3rd start tomorrow. He'll go up against the New York Yankees, and there's been rumors around the ballpark that Alex Rodriguez will make the trip here to Dunedin tomorrow. Norris is an interesting camper here this spring. He's 21 years old. He comes from Johnson City, Tennessee, and he signed with the Blue Jays and went into the minor league system and really kind of had a slow developmental process as they rebuilt his mechanical delivery. But boy, he put it all together last year in the minors.
When he first signed, he went to Instruction League and he went right to Dane Johnson and he asked him to fix his mechanics. He had a great arm in high school. He could blow it by guys, but he was walking 7 and 8 and 9 batters in a game.
It's really interesting how in his first season, 2012, he was a late sign in 2011, did not play except that Instructional League stint. But that first year in 2012, he pitched 42 2/3 innings and had an 8.44 earned run average. Those days are long gone for Daniel Norris.
Yeah, they sure are, and he's revised that pitching delivery. It's one thing in high school. He said he would drop down, change arm angles because he was just having fun overpowering kids. But once he got to pro ball, he knew that he was going to have to put a package together and reduce the walks, and he did that by staying on top of the baseball, a little taller on the rubber, and getting more of that downhill plane.
He will pitch tomorrow for the Blue Jays. Liner right to the first baseman, Walker. Tolleson hit it hard. The Blue Jays waste a 2-out double. Will head to the 8th. Jays have a 5-2 lead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to find out.
Seven two seven 222 2222. Again, that's 727 222 22. Don't.
The Toronto Raptors continue their push for the postseason, and they are on Sportsnet 1 tonight. The Raptors taking on the Heat. Pre-game show gets underway at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. The Raptors got off to a wonderful start this year, and now they're in a battle to continue to play this year in the postseason. Buck?
Thank you, Barry. New pitcher into the ball game is Bo Schultz, 29-year-old. He's made 2 appearances in the spring. This will be his 3rd opportunity to work, and we have seen Bo. He throws hard.
He's a big right-hander. Average fastball will be up around 95 miles per hour with a slider and a changeup. He pitched last Sunday against the Pirates, pitching inning in the 3rd scoreless with a strikeout. P. Walker likes that power arm coming out of the bullpen, so here's yet another arm to keep an eye on in this bullpen shuffle.
I mentioned he is 29 years old. He comes out of Highland Park High School in University
Park, Texas. Went to Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois. This is Christian Walker, the first baseman. He's getting his first at bat. He came in defensively in the 6th. Numbers combined between AA and AAA a year ago. He made his major league debut last September 17th. There's a good fastball at 98 miles an hour. That's the power we were talking about.
He'll average 95, but you can see he'll get it up in the upper 90s, and this is why Pete Walker's excited about this arm. In his debut last year with the Diamondbacks when the Blue Jays claimed him off waivers from Arizona.
Ball is hit high and deep to right. Ezekiel Carrera on the edge of the warning track is there and makes the catch as Walker is retired.
For the baseman, number 48, Matt Tuyas is open.
Pete Walker has a lot to find out about with these pitchers in camp for the first time. A guy like Bo Schultz has grabbed his attention because of the power. Schultz has been a starter in the past. There's another good fastball. It ties up back to Iasasoku, and he grounds out to third. 2 quick outs here for Schultz in the 8th.
Second baseman, number 43, Ray Navarro.
Pete Walker likes those power arms down in the bullpen, as does manager John Gibbons, because when you get late in the ball game and guys are coming out of that pen, they're getting runners on base. That's when you need a strikeout, and usually those high-powered guys can do that.
Really plays in the AL East, that power. There are a lot of good lineups in the East, and those hitters will put the ball in play, so you need an occasional strikeout, somebody that can come in and strike you out, get you out of a tough jam. Brett Cecil did that so effectively last year for the Blue Jays. This is Ray Navarro, who took over defensively in the 6th at second base. He bounces this ball up the middle. Ryan Goins into the ball game, and that's what you love about Ryan Goins. He takes a hit away from Ray Navarro just into the ball game. Goins has terrific range at second, and he throws out the runner to end the 8th.
Cricket World Cup live and in HD. Contact your local service provider or visit getcricket.ca. And guys, the Blue Jays actually have a former cricket player on their roster in Liam Hendriks. He played back in Australia a bit, and he was a bowler or goaler or whatever they do in cricket. In fact, he had the catcher's gear on about a week ago, and he said that brought back memories of him playing cricket.
Barry, you come up with all the great information. That's a good piece of information on Liam Hendriks, who's from Australia. A bowler or whatever you call him. Yep. Derek Martin has gone the whole way here this afternoon. So far, he's gone 1 for 3 with an RBI that came back in the second inning.
Interesting. We're seeing a lot of Derek Martin. Played yesterday, and all 4 at-bats again today, and I'm sure John Gibbons wants to continue to get a good look at this left-handed bat.
Well, the thing that both Barton and Smoke are battling is trying to do too much. They're both here for the first time with the Blue Jays. They're working with a new hitting coach, playing for a new manager, and trying to make an impression. They have both had extended time in the major leagues. They're both former #1 picks, Justin Smoke and Derek Martin. Brooke Jacoby, the new hitting coach for the Blue Jays, has talked with Barton, and you mentioned it earlier, Joe, how Barton has always been a strike hitter. He was trying to hit pitches out of the zone early in camp, and now I think they've got him where he needs to be. He's having better at-bats. Good breaking ball there, and Tyler Wilson with his second strikeout since coming into the game. This is his second inning of work.
Center fielder number 11, Kevin Pillar.
Well, one thing the Orioles have, and yeah, they lost Andrew Miller last year, who joined the midstream. They got a good bullpen.
They had a good bullpen before they got Andrew Miller. It's a big loss in signing with the Yankees as a free agent, but this was a very deep bullpen.
Kevin Pillar has scored a couple of runs today. Had a stolen base in the 6th. Had a good at-bat last time up, as he fought off several borderline pitches against T.J. McFarland and singled a 3-2 fastball into right. Chased that pitch up out of the zone.
Orioles are about as well-rounded team as you can find, and they showed it last year. They hit, they can hit the long ball, they pitch, both the starters and the relievers, and they play great defense. And that's what led them to the postseason.
96 wins for the Orioles a year ago. Pillar reaches for that outside pitch. Buck Showalter says, you know, everybody's picking everybody else, and I like being the underdog. They hit 211 home runs, 25 more home runs than the second-place Colorado Rockies in Major League Baseball. And you see the last 5 seasons how Buck Showalter's impact has really had positive results. 96 wins a year ago as they were second in baseball with that record. Pillar bounces it to third. There's a high throw, and Pillar is aboard. Going to be an error on the third baseman, Matt Tuiasosopu, as he airmailed the first baseman and pulled Christian Walker off the back.
Well, Tuiasosopu's played a lot of outfield in his career. He's bounced around a lot, but he played this rather casually, and as he came up to throw there, that shoulder leaks. Look at the youngster on the mound saying, I got to have that. Defense letting him down there. Tyler Wilson reacting on the mound.
In spring training, of course, you don't have the benefit of instant replay, but that one might have been one they'd look at in regular season.
You just talked about the Orioles' defense last year. You are not going to find Tuiasosopu at third base, I don't think, this season.
Now, Manny Machado is healthy. He'll be back at third base, and the regular infield will feature Machado at third, J.J. Hardy at short, Scope at second, and Chris Davis at first. And they hope to have Matt Wieters behind the plate. Munenori Kawasaki getting his first at bat. He took over as a pinch runner for Danny Valencia back in the 6th.
Nice.
Tries to bunt it, bunts it foul. Munenori is now 33 years old. This is his 4th Major League season. He came over with the Seattle Mariners in 2012. Last year with the Blue Jays, he drove in 17 runs. He had a career-high 24 RBIs for the Jays in 2013. course, in 2013, that's when he filled in so admirably for Jose Reyes. He started 51 games at shortstop.
Well, that's what he provides. He provides that depth, signing back on a minor league contract with the Blue Jays. Most realistically, we'll see Munenori in AAA, and if the need arises, Blue Jays know they have him down there to bring up.
He certainly is a fan favorite no matter where we go. And you got to love the way he approaches the game. He really puts a lot of time and effort into his fundamental skills.
Whoa, that's a ball.
Home plate umpire B.J. Rayburn called a balk because of that knee break. You can see him explaining it to the pitcher, Tyler Wilson, as he broke that knee.
Well, it's called a balk move that pitchers use, and what they'll do is they'll come set and they'll flinch that back knee first and then throw over to first. And that first little flinch that you see, that's when a runner will usually break on an attempted steal, but that's a little move that they'll do before they go over to first base to catch that runner.
Bouncing ball to short. Jason Nix waits on it. Throws wide of first. Christian Walker does a good job to maintain contact with the bag. Now there are 2 outs as Kawasaki's retired. Pilar moves to third base. Ezequiel Carrera will get his first at bat.
Carrera in that outfield mix as well with Dalton Pompey, Kevin Pillar, especially the injury to Michael Saunders.
Michael Saunders, to give you a little update on him, he has been cleared to pursue baseball activities, and he's hit on the field the last few days. Today he participated in the cutoffs and relays drills, playing in left field. But he's still going to have to get some game action, and he'll probably start out in the minor leagues. I believe the minor league games start on the 17th. And the reason you put an injured player in those minor league games is because that doesn't count against his disabled time. So you keep him in the minors until you're pretty sure he's healthy, and then you bring him over to the big league camp. But Michael Saunders is progressing very well. He's put a lot of hard work into his rehab.
Well, he had a bit of a fluke injury as well, stepping on that sprinkler head on a minor league field. In the original diagnosis, the Blue Jays thought they were going to be without him till almost the All-Star break.
There's a strike. It's now 3-1.
And they went in and repaired that meniscus. They actually took part of it out. And the sense is that instead of repairing, which would take a longer time to rehab, you remove that and it's speedier recovery.
Foul out of play. It's now 3-2. We're playing in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Blue Jays scored 3 in the bottom of the 2nd. They've added 2 in the bottom of the 6th, and they lead the Orioles 5-2 as we speak. Chris Colabello has been the DH all afternoon. He's gone 0 for 3 so far. He'd love another at bat here in the 8th. Kevin Pillar reached on the air. He's been on base 3 times this afternoon. Ubaldo Jimenez started for the Orioles. He went 4 innings, gave up 3 runs on 5 hits. T.J. McFarland pitched 2 innings. He was charged with 2 runs on 4 hits. And now Tyler Wilson in his 2nd inning of work. Little dribbler to second. Navarro has it. The inning is over. We head to the 9th. Good afternoon for the Blue Jays as they put up a 5 spot against Baltimore. weeds out of your park with Scott's Weed Be Gone. Kills weeds, not lawn.
Back in the first inning, Russell Martin and Aaron Sanchez had a little miscommunication on this swinging bunt. Russell makes the off-balance throw. He fires it down the right field line, but you see Jose Bautista with a good backup, and Everett Cabrera charging that arm, changing the arm against Jose Bautista. He throws a strike on a one-hop all the way from foul territory in right field.
Bautista with a terrific arm, very accurate with his throw. Erases that leadoff single by Cabrera. New pitcher into the ballgame is Greg Burke, as the Blue Jays relievers have done a nice job of keeping the Orioles off the scoreboard. Burke is a side armor, drops that first pitch in there for a strike.
Burke worked a scoreless inning here in Dunedin against the Astros last Monday. Sidewinder, the average fastball be around 88 miles per hour with a slider and a changeup.
Oh, and 2. We have seen Aaron Sanchez, Scott Barnes, Roberto Osuna, Wilton Lopez, Colt Hines, Bo Schultz, and now Greg Burke. There's that sweeper that misses outside. Fans, remember to join us tomorrow. We'll be right back here at Florida Auto Exchange Stadium at 1 o'clock. And get a chance to see Daniel Norris pitch against the New York Yankees. Norris making his third start of the spring. There's a liner into center off the bat of Daniel Alvarez. Lots of substitutions here late in the game in the spring. Alvarez gets a hit in this first at bat.
Left fielder number 85, Mark Yastrzemski.
Mike Yastrzemski. His numbers from a year ago in 129 games between A-ball and AA. And if you recognize that name, that is Carl Yastrzemski's grandson. Was Carl a Hall of Famer. Played for the Boston Red Sox for 23 years. That's got to be tough moving around baseball in such an unusual name, and you know there's got to be a connection.
Very unique name, but to see it in an Orioles uniform.
There goes the runner. Ball is grounded to Bart. He steps on the bag as Alvarez goes to second. Yastrzemski is retired.
The catcher, number 60, Ryan Lavarnway.
Tomorrow, along with Daniel Norris, you'll see Aaron Loop and Steve Delabar work in the game against the Yankees. Obviously, they're very important to the fortunes of the Blue Jays bullpen this next season. Delabar has been better and better each time out this spring.
He looks a lot different this spring than what we saw in Toronto last year. He had some struggles. He was really struggled with his control, and I think he had a little bit of an issue with that left knee, which is your landing leg, and leaving the ball up in the zone, but he looks much stronger and got that velocity back as well.
Off the plate outside.
All right.
Brian Lavarnway in his second at bat. He lined out to the third baseman, his only previous at bat. There he takes the strike. It's 2-1. Greg Burke, the pitcher for the Blue Jays, worked last season in AAA with the Colorado Rockies. He pitched at Colorado Springs. Appeared in 36 games. And by first base said he went too far.
That Sidearm slider from Burke, and it's tough for a righty to pick up. You see Lavarnway just cannot quite hold up, chasing that pitch down and away.
Came right back with it. This time Lavarnway lays off. It's a full count.
Tough arm angle for a right-handed hitter. Righties just don't see that very often. You'll get guys like this, Greg Burke, dropping down now, and sometimes guys later in their career at 32 years old, he's feeling that's something too that he wants to incorporate to give that hitter a different look, provide a little deception.
That's pulled to third base. Kawasaki waits on it. In time, Lavarnway's retired. Orioles are down to their last out. The DH in the ninth spot is Henry Urrutia. He has gone 2 for 3 this afternoon. Urrutia is having a good spring with the 2 hits. His average at .357 this spring. Better fastball at 88. That one just off the plate outside.
And these side-winding righties can be difficult on left-handed hitters as well. You see Darren O'Day from the Orioles is a classic. Tough on righties and lefties. That two-seam fastball diving down and away from left-handed hitters as well.
And then the off-speed pitch, that would miss down and away. And that's a good combination. If you're going to throw that sinking fastball, you have to have something to take the sting out of the bat of those left-handed hitters. And that off-speed pitch that Burke just threw is effective in that regard. Bouncing ball up the middle. That'll sneak through for a base hit. Runner around third. Alvarez comes in and slides in ahead of the throw as Urrutia has his 3rd hit and 2nd RBI of the afternoon.
It's a nice piece of hitting by Urrutia. You saw he saw the off-speed pitch, you saw the fastball, and this one again, the location is up in the zone, and once that pitch gets up, it flattens out. And that's the last thing Burke wants as a side-winding pitcher. You want to keep that ball down in the zone to get that downward movement. Up in the zone, flattens out, and Urrutia is able to hit that ball up the middle.
Nolan Reimel entered the game defensively in the 6th. He flied out to center in the 7th. Reimel was originally a 2nd-round draft pick of the Orioles in 2005. He appeared with the Blue Jays last season in 22 games. Just .212. Had a couple of home runs. That sweeping breaking ball missed outside. Reimel ended up playing with the Diamondbacks in 7 games toward the end of the season. And here he is back with his original ball club in spring training. Waits on that breaking ball and fouls it back. Reimel made his major league debut in 2009 and hit 15 home runs. And then he had a serious Achilles injury, and that really robbed him of a lot of time. 1-2, 2 outs. Fans anxious for a big pitch from Burke. All the way back to the screen as the runner Urrutia will go to second on the wild pitch.
Burke fighting for that release point right now. You can see he just has not honed in with that slider. Ideally from down under there, you want to start that slider on that outer half of the plate so that it looks like a strike to the hitter, and then it tells well he's starting it almost off the plate away. Hitter's not even offering at it.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Downstairs, it's a full count. Jason Nix awaits on deck. That's a fly ball into shallow center. Pilar is calling for it. He gets there, and the ball game is over. Blue Jays win it 5-3. Burke's able to get the final out of the game.
Well, I think the story was Aaron Sanchez today. He goes 3 in the third innings for the Blue Jays. Gives up 5 hits and 2 runs, but we have to look way past those numbers. I thought Sanchez looked very good today, trying to use his other pitches, but again, that good high-powered fastball. A lot of sinkers, a lot of balls on the ground today.
Orioles now 3-9 on the spring. Blue Jays improved to 5-7. Roberto Osuna also had a good outing. You take a look at the game review. Blue Jays winning 5-3. Sanchez, good outing. Jose Reyes 2 for 3. Danny Valencia had a good day at the plate as well. We'll be back tomorrow with the Yankees right here. Now let's check in with Barry Davis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Barry?
All right, thank you, Buck. And that game tomorrow, Daniel Norris.